Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mekong ASEAN Environmental Week 2023. My name is Premlidi Daoreung. On behalf of the co-organizer of MAO 2023, I would like to welcome all of you, everyone who's sitting here in this room, and also friends who are watching us from the live, from YouTube live of MAO. Finally, we arrived MAO in the year 5. No? We suddenly organized MAO for 5 years already. And of course, without the very strong support from the communities, the CSO networks, academic, media, and many of the ordinary people in the Mekong and Southeast Asia region, MAO cannot come to this year 5 easily. So thank you, everyone. And this year, we're still having lots of support from everyone. No? Sitting here with me are the friends, I think more than 20 people who came from different countries in the region, from Cambodia, the Philippines, Indonesia, from abroad, like in France as well, from India and others. So everyone are here together. As you all know, MAO is a forum or the open platform for everyone, especially for the ordinary people, for the community to share the aspect of the environment and other related issues, the social, politics, and of course the human rights issues. So for this year, we are not only organize MAO in Bangkok. The MAO Bangkok started from 16 September already, and we are going to continue until the 25th of September. But after that, we are going to spend another 3 days in Ubon Ratchathani province, the province along the Mekong River in northeastern Thailand. So we have both MAO Bangkok and MAO Ubon Ratchathani this year. And we consider today as the opening, like a formal opening day for MAO 2023. And for today, actually, we only have 2 programs. This morning, we are going to sit here talking about the topic that relate directly to the main theme of the MAO 2023, which is the beyond boundaries. Actually, the beyond boundaries is the main word for this year. The struggle of the people, how the people movement can be compared with the movement of the the corporates and the state that create some of the very important problem that, to the region. How can we explore into the situation that we are all facing? So this morning we are going to have a big panel until noon time on these issues, and in the afternoon we move to Dog Club and pub, another venue, the theater, that we are going to show one movie. All right, for this morning, let me introduce you for the process a little bit. I'm going to work together with Shalmali Guttal from Focus on the Global South. We are going to be to facilitate this session because this is going to be a big session with 6 speakers. So before the 6 speakers, we would like to invite our friend who actually came for us for MAO since last year, the music group or the band from Cambodia called Messenger Band. This is the band from the labor, the labor group. Most of you are the ladies, I think, from Cambodia. And Messenger will give us one song for the opening, like welcoming everyone to this MAO 2023. And after that, I will invite Shalmali to give us a brief idea, a quick idea, but in order to allocate the outline of this panel for this morning, what we would like to speak. And then I will invite our first speaker who have to go first, Mr. Rangsiman Rome, to talk to us a little bit, maybe for 10-15 minutes with a few questions. Then after that, we move to other speaker. I will introduce the speaker one by one later. No? So in order to save the time, I think we invite the messenger to give us the one performance to welcome everyone to Mao 2023. Please, yeah.มีปราสาทโบราณเจียแปแต่กระพรเจียนสาลอสราสำรอเขียวใจครั้งตั้งเมียนไตรครั้งใดเมียนรายขนมไพรเมียนสันเมียนจำกาสรายเมียนพนมหอหายนี่หายสรุกไม้สดใสละบายใบปราสาทโบราณไก่ปีโดนตาขมอกใบรจนาสนาได้ก่อนขึ้นมาตั้งปีโยลงต่อมองหอหายส่งเรียสาไทยเอาไว้บ้านกงวงสาลอสราสำรอเขียวใจน้องตั้งเมียนไตรน้องใดเมียนรายน้องไพรเมียนสันเมียนจำกาสรายเมียนพนมหอหายนี่หายสรุกไม้สดใสละบายละใบปราสาทโบราณไก่ปีโดนตามองก็ไม่เงียบจะน่าสนาได้ก่อนก็มาตั้งปีอยู่ลงต่อมองหอหายส่งจุยสาไทยเอาไว้บ้านกงวง Thank you so much for the messenger band. Would you like to tell us a little bit what the music is about? The meaning of the music? Yes? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Hello. So the song from Messenger Band is called "The Golden Land." It's mainly describe about the natural resource that we have in Cambodia, like temple from our ancestor, lake or like forest and stuff. So this is all the song that describe, like it include everything, like animal or fish that we have, everything like from the nature. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the golden land is mean our land, right? The Mekong in Southeast Asia considered a very rich land since whenever. So the song is very suitable. Thank you again. It's a beautiful opening. So next, as I mentioned before, right, we are going to invite Shalmali to give us a brief idea. As I mentioned, our theme for MAU 2023 is Beyond Boundaries, Peoples Uniting in Defending Rights. But this panel specifically, we would like to bring you to hear or discuss the kind of the highlight regional issues that we think is important to understand. No? We have our six panelists to speak in different issues, but all of them are linked, are related. So maybe Shalmali can help us a little bit to make it clearer what is the direction of our panel this morning. And the panel theme or the name is in parallel with our MAU main theme. The theme of the panel is Beyond Boundaries, the Cooperation and State versus People and Environment, which is actually the main concern of most of us who are sitting here. So Shalmali, please, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes,
okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this opening plenary session of MEO. It is an honor for us, Focus, and for me to be part of MEO in the 5th year of MEO. And so we're very pleased that despite COVID and all the restrictions, we have been able to conduct MEO in hybrid way, but also now more and more with the in-person way. And this year, MEO is particularly innovative because it is spread across several locations. Now, we named this session Beyond Boundaries, the Cooperation and State versus People and Environment, because this is a trend we have been seeing in the ASEAN region and the Mekong sub-region for many decades. Despite language used by ASEAN leaders about building a sharing, caring community, fostering peace, justice, and harmony, and promoting sustainable development, the emphasis of ASEAN cooperation has been mainly economic, through regional and bilateral trade and investment agreements, and also putting in place national policies and regulations to attract private investment, either foreign direct investment or domestic private investment at the large scale, and to facilitate trade, all with the goal of making ASEAN a common production area and a common market to compete in the global economy. So if we just look at some figures, in 2019, the foreign direct investment, FDI, inflows into ASEAN reached US dollars 182 billion. That's 182 billion US dollars, making ASEAN the largest recipient of FDI in the developing world. And it's interesting to say developing world because the ASEAN economies are quite diverse. Many are developing countries, yes, and some are LDCs, the least developed countries. But then you also have large emerging economies in there, like Indonesia, Philippines, and of course, there's Singapore and Brunei. No? Then due to the COVID-19 pandemic, FDI decreased to $137 billion in 2020. So from 182 billion in 2019, it came down to 137 billion in 2020. But if we look and compare the FDI level in ASEAN to the global FDI levels, ASEAN still performed better, and its share of global FDI actually increased from 11.9% in 2019 to 13.7% in 2020. And according to reports from the ASEAN governments and UNCTAD, FDI in the digital economy sectors and infrastructure-related industries helped to cushion the fall, the decrease in FDI in other sectors in the time of the pandemic and post-pandemic. But we also see that intra-ASEAN investment, that is among ASEAN countries, has continued to increase. Now, using the rationale of the post-pandemic economic recovery, ASEAN governments have prioritized foreign and domestic private investment in large infrastructure projects, extractive industries like mining, and the extraction of other minerals, steel, coal, energy projects, of course, fossil fuel, conventional, large dams, but hydropower, that is, but also renewable energies, which are taking up a lot of land, agriculture, and then property development or real estate. Then there is manufacturing through global value chains, which are mostly cited in special economic zones, tourism, and then also increasingly digital technology. All these are being prioritized. The construction industry is booming across the ASEAN and Mekong regions, except in Myanmar now, with large transportation projects, dams, highways, urban development, and so on. And of course, the special economic zones continue to proliferate. Now, on one hand, building these strong domestic economies is important for generating employment, for making sure there's enough food and nutritional security, for making sure there are enough incomes and strengthening livelihoods, and very important for generating the national revenue that is needed to build the health systems, social protection systems, and other infrastructure for healthcare, dealing with climate change, and so on. No? But what we're seeing is that these investments in social, ecological, domestic infrastructures that will benefit the ordinary people of ASEAN and the majority of the ASEAN and Mekong region's population is not happening. Instead, the emphasis is really on spiraling down environmental, social protections and regulations in order to continue to expand foreign direct investment and domestic private investment and trade at any cost. Now, reports about how strong and resilient FDI and other investments are, we will read all these reports from UNCTAD and from USAID and EU and so on. What they do is they hide the negative impacts and risks of such investments on people, on communities, the environment, ecosystems, and on biodiversity. The entire ASEAN region, and especially we have seen the Mekong sub-region, is extremely vulnerable to climate disasters. And the kinds of investment that is happening in the region are undermining the real resilience of people to withstand crises. There is land conversion, forest destruction, coastal conversion, sand mining, of course, logging. And logging is happening now, not in the name of logging, but logging is happening and deforestation are happening in companion to large infrastructure projects. Not only large dams, which is an old story in the ASEAN and an old problem in the Mekong region, but also with the building of railways, superhighways, ports, and so on. And all these kinds of investments, including export-driven agriculture, in the name of climate resilience, they are leading to conversion of biodiverse landscapes. They're changing microclimates, and these in turn also, of course, negatively affect local people's access to food, medicines, livelihoods. There is not so much, we don't have very detailed, impacts or reports about the impacts of these kind of environmental disasters on nutritional security. But reports are coming in about malnutrition and hunger increasing because of what's happening to the environment. The other aspect here is, which is very extremely important, is the spiraling down of human rights and participatory democracy. Now, of course, ASEAN and the Mekong region for long time has not exactly been the most robust region for the protection of human rights and democracy. But in the past decades, with the expansion of extreme authoritarian regimes, we have seen a general nullifying of democratic and justice systems, and we have seen an increased criminalization of rights defenders. Now, these rights defenders are people from the communities who are standing up against the destruction of their agricultural land, the destruction of forests, or the displacement and eviction that is happening in the rural areas. It also includes lawyers who defend them. It includes journalists who report on them. It includes members of parliament who speak out against what is happening and who try to stand up for ordinary people in the ASEAN and Mekong region. We have seen, in fact, the nullification of entire political parties, not only in Thailand, but also in Cambodia and in other countries in the region. The ASEAN principle of non-interference is very interesting because it is non-interference when it comes to domestic peace, security, and rights issues. No ASEAN member has been able to address the spiraling down crisis and the military offensive, and the gross violations of rights in Myanmar. When we look at the rest of the Mekong region, when we look at Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos, what we are seeing is what we call extraterritorial human rights violations, where those rights defenders, whether they are local activists or journalists or writers, who take refuge in another country, are kidnapped and disappeared by the security services of their host countries. So we're also seeing extraterritorial rights violations. At the same time, ASEAN continues to say that they have a principle of non-interference and therefore they cannot interfere in the rights of others, the domestic policies of other countries. So what's happening here is we are seeing a collusion between governments and corporations, between state and capital. And this collusion is precipitating a livelihood, rights, and dignity crisis for the people of ASEAN and the Mekong. At the same time, people are not being silent. Communities are fighting back. People are fighting back, whether they're workers organizing in unions, farmers in association, young people joining new political parties, people coming out in droves on, against dictatorships, against anti-democratic regimes, and so on, blocking roads to prevent the bulldozers. So we are seeing really a deepening of solidarity across the ASEAN and Mekong region of people. There are people of the Mekong and ASEAN region who are not ordinary, they are extraordinary. They're remarkable because they're facing up against this collusion of state and capital, which is very powerful. So that is why we call this session and our theme of Beyond Boundaries and the corporations and states versus people and the environment. And now I just wanted to provide you with a small framework of why we have chosen this, selected this very provocative title. And we will hear now from 6 diverse speakers who have all been who are rights defenders even as we speak, and have been part of the solidarity movement across ASEAN and the Mekong region. So thank you, Kun Premrudi Ian. I hand over back to you.
Thank you so much, Chao. I think Shalmali already gave us a kind of clear pictures, brief and clear about the idea of why we would like to have this panel as the opening panel for MAO 2023. And I'm sure this issue that Chao just described is the interest of all of our speakers this morning, 6 of them. Our first speaker, Mr. Rangsiman Rome, I think in Thailand, especially for the young, it will be hard for not knowing him. He's a very famous politician. He's from the Move Forward Party, the party that got the most seats in the parliament. And unfortunately, we cannot have him here today because he needs to leave us before others. And we invite Mr. Rangsiman because not only he's the parliamentarian, but because he was involved with the young generation movement since back to his student time. So we really believe that it will be very interesting to invite Mr. Rangsiman to talk about the development of the involvement of the young generation in politics, and how do you see the opportunity, right, or the possibility for the young generation to involve with the real issues, like the issue that Shalmali just relayed, which I think this is the key work of the Move Forward Party from the beginning as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, and please, please start your presentation. Yeah, you have about 15 minutes. Yeah, thank you.
Sawadee krap. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm Rangsiman Rome, a member of the parliament from Move Forward Party. In recent years, youth in Thailand have become much more politically active than in the past. It has become a common thing for high school students to follow political debates or discuss the policies of each party with their friends. With the internet, it is now easy for everyone to search for information. Unlike before, it is very difficult for the people in power to manipulate information online. Take the example of some political parties in Thailand, where they say one thing before an election, but change their words after the election. People did not forget and kept reposting their digital footprint. So it is useless even if they delete the original post. In a way, the desire for change is a global occurrence after the COVID-19 pandemic. A global survey in 2020 for the World Economic Forum revealed that 86% would prefer to see the world change significantly rather than return to how it was before COVID-19. This desire for change is even more clear in the youth. They want a better life, a better future for themselves. They see that many problems in Thailand have remained the same for all their lives. For example, many problems I face as a student. The students today still face the same problems, like mandatory military recruitment and or outdated school regulations that require the boys to get buzz cut hairstyle. Similar discontent piled up until it led to the nationwide protests in 2020, which were able to call for hundreds of thousands of people to come out on the street and demand for changes in socio-political structure. This movement was mostly led by various youth groups, each with their own agendas, but were able to unite into one movement under the ideology of freedom, equality, brotherhood, which become the signature three-finger symbol of the movement, which also spread the movements in Myanmar as well. This is a good example of where movement in one country can have an impact on nearby region, and how we can inspire each other to fight and defend our rights from those in power who would want to take it away. When we talk about rights in ASEAN region, most countries are struggling with many problems, such as having full democracies, with many countries still under authoritarian regime, such as Myanmar. Many of the Myanmarese youth who have been affected by civil war today cannot get proper education and have little chance of getting employment. In my opinion, we cannot sit by and just ignore them. Yes, we have our own problems, but this is the best years of their lives and they deserve to get the opportunity to study like any of the Thai youth. That is why we all must help to give this youth the opportunity. They deserve just as we should support Myanmar to return democracy. The movement of youth can be very powerful, as is evident by the result of our election this year in Thailand. They were able to bring about changes at different levels, starting at homes, such as convincing their parents and relatives to a nation movement that was very successful during the election. I know many of older generations still cannot believe that the movement was organic, and they're used to seeing only organized protests controlled by someone from behind, but it was not like that. I have to say that the initiative taken by the youth of Thailand have contributed a lot to the Move Forward Party's success in this election. Our policy and promises were straightforward and clear, and it was able to resonate with the desire of youth in Thailand. Through social media, we were able to connect to each other in real time, and they were able to learn of Move Forward Party policies and passionately volunteer to spread our message to their family and friends and to all the corners that would not have been possible for us to achieve. They were driven by passion, but rooted in logic. In fear of a leaked election, many even volunteered to watch the election booth while the counting takes place to make sure that there is no cheating of any kind. All of this become this phenomenon that defy all expectations. No one thought that the Move Forward Party would win the election, but we did, and it was because of the youth active participation. In Indonesia, the upcoming 2024 general elections, youth account for 54% of total voters. So we should wait and see what role they will play in the national politics. Personally, I hope to see more participation from youth in politics, both in Thailand and ASEAN. Of course, there are many ways the youth can be politically active, not just running for MP like me, but maybe as NGO, raising awareness, and other activities. I believe that the time for changes in Thailand will come soon. I believe that the power of youth will be the main driving force for change both in Thailand and in ASEAN. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the passionate and powerful presentation. Actually, this is the second time for Mao to invite a politician to speak in our event, and I'm very glad that we have Kun Rangsiman today with us. I think I will open the floor for a couple of questions to him, especially because we have to leave us after this. So if any of you would like to ask him some questions, please. Yes, please, Yvonne from the Philippines.
Good morning to you, Mr. My question is, what is the struggles in terms of unifying different youth across Thailand? It's like I'm pertaining to, of course, young people these days have different likes, they have different things to do. They have studies and everything. And how were you able to unify them as a young people to take part in this struggle?
Should I answer now?
Yes,
or
yes,
should-
please. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone, we ever been young, we know that what the problem of us. And we know that the problem that we face actually is still here, is still happen. What we have to do, you need brave, and you need to talking about the problem, the real problem, what the young people have to face. Like in Thailand, many people, they study hard. And then what happened is, okay, if you are the boy, you have to maybe get a military recruitment that take your future and don't know what happened there. Sometimes you get like humiliated by the military, and sometimes after that you don't have work, or before you join the military you have work already, but finally you lose it because of the recruitment by the military. So this is the problem that many Thai people are talking about, but no one in Thailand, no party ever solve it. All about the job. We study hard. We have many hours to study in each day, but finally it's end up with no work available for them. So when we try to sit in the heart of the young people, try to think like them, try to think that if you are young and if you have power, you want to change it. So when we have power as a political party, we feel that we have to solve it. We have to brave. We cannot repeat the same way as another party. And what we try to do is we will try to do the different. And this is how we can connect with the young generation. They're not just engaged, but we really listen and we really do what they want.
Thank you. More questions? I'm sure many people who watch online would like to ask a question, but so if we don't have any, yes, please. Yeah, one more.
Hi, good morning. I'm just wondering how you foresee the next 4 years. What will happen to the forward parties with the current, government?
It's a good question. In the next 4 years, it's very, many possibility can happen. But what I see from now, I see that one of the key problem that possible is not gonna change is about the structure of the country. I mean, if we're talking about like what Thailand problem, we have coup d'etat. The military still like have very high power. The law that abuse the freedom of expression. I think many problems like this is still happen. So I believe that the structure of the problem is still happen, and it means in the next 4 years we still need to solve it. For example, like the conscription, we still have to solve it. About the section 112 that limit people of the freedom of expression, it still happen. So in the next 4 years, I think the party who has the policy to reform the country, to reform the structure of the country, I still believe that people still support. If we talk about the election in this year, you can find that some party they try to talking about the economic problem, which mean like they get support too, okay? But the party who try to highlight about the structure, about the problem of the structure in Thailand, many people support this idea because people believe that if we have a good basic, if we have a good structure of the country, we can do whatever that we want to do. We can solve the problem of economic, we can solve about the problem of equality, we can solve the problem of, what all kind of the problem that can happen in the country, in the society. So I think we may have a better economic, I believe, but for the problem of the structure, the problem that you need brave to solve, I don't think it's gonna change. Yeah.
Is that yes? Thank you so much. This is an important question that many people might have. Okay, over there. Okay, can you allow another question, Mr. Rangsiman? You still have time, right? Okay, one more.
Yeah. Maybe until 10:30. Sorry,
Okay.
today we have to select the new,
All right.
leader of the party. Yeah.
Okay, so 7 minutes to go. So please, one final question probably.
ចាអរុនសួស្តីទាំងអស់គ្នាខ្ញុំមានសំណួរមួយតើតើចង់សួរទៅគណៈបក Move Forward ដែរថាតើនៅក្នុងស្ថានភាពបែបហ្នឹងតើគណៈបក Move Forward នឹងធ្វើអីបន្តនៅក្នុងសកម្មភាពជាជំហានណានឹងធ្វើអីបន្តហើយទី2ចង់ដឹងថាតើតើតើទៅនឹងសុខុមាលភាពរបស់ទាំងតំណាងរាស្ត្រឬក៏ប្រជាជនឬក៏អ្នកសកម្មជននឹងថាតើគាត់មានការការពារឬក៏យុទ្ធសាស្ត្រអីនៅក្នុងការលើកទឹកចិត្តដើម្បីធ្វើសកម្មភាពនឹងបន្តអរគុណ
So allow me to do the translation. So we from Cambodia we have two questions. The first one is for the long run, what are the vision of a Move Forward Party? And the second question is how Move Forward Party manage the well-being of their member. Thank you.
Is it clear enough? Yes.
Can you repeat again? Sorry, I don't think I can.
More time, please.
Okay. So for the first question, how Move Forward Party manage the well-being of their member? And the second question is for the long run, what is the vision of Move Forward Party? Yeah. Vision.
The second one is the vision. Yeah. What is the vision?
The first one is how they manage the well-being.
Oh, okay. The well-being of the party members. How you manage? This is the first question. Yeah.
For the first question, the key point to manage about the relation of well-being of the member of the party to us. The first thing is, they are not just supporter. The key word is they own the party. We have to serve them, without the support, without the member of the party, we cannot do this big. So we have to engage them, So when we have the like for example the committee of the party, it should be the people who come from them. So in each province of Thailand, we will have like the representative from every province, that people that help to organize, that help to engage people in each province. And in this year, we have the plan, because in the province in Thailand, we have many districts, right? But we have the plan that we will finding the representative in each sub-district. So we try to, to go to connect the people, even they live very far from Bangkok, even they are the small sub-district, until maybe many people don't know the name. But we will try to engage with them. We try to make them feel that, between us, we connect. And now we have the social media. We have the internet. The lucky thing is in Thailand, the internet is quite well. So we can connect people, everyone. We try to listen them. So, something like this is make us can be the part of them, And the second question for the vision, I have to say now we are the oppositional party. What we plan is we not just oppositional party who against everything that the government try to do. Okay. The thing that we plan to do is first we try to support the good thing if the government do good. We try to suggest them what it should be. It's like we try to work together with them too. But in the same time, we are zero tolerance for the corruption. So if the government, they have the problem issue about the corruption, absolutely, we will try to stop them. But in the same time, we provide the information about the corruption to the people. So during the politics, we educate people to make people understand what really happened. So when the election come, people will know that how is like really happen in Thailand. Because sometimes when the election, right, everyone try to make their image look very good, look very positive. So if people really know that, okay, what is this party actually is, so it's really help people to have information and can decide very smart in the election. But however, for our vision, we are strong for the policy about changing the structure of the country. It's like we try to develop the structure of the country better. But we try to make us more stronger about the policy of economy. Because however, the country not just need one thing, right? Not just only one economic good. They need the structure. And absolutely, they not just have a good structure of the country, but economic bad. It cannot be like that. So it can be together. It have to be together. So this is our vision. We will try to be the party who have brave to solve the problem that no one's ever think to solve. But in the same time, we will have many people that come from many groups like SME, entrepreneur, military, police, lawyer, every group, they will try to help us to make the policy of, to respond every problem that we face. So this is the way that we want to run for the next 4 years. Yeah.
Thank you so much once again, Kun Rangsiman Rome from the Move Forward Party. Can we give him a big hand for his excellent presentation this morning? And we hope to invite you again for Mao next year. And please have a good luck with the leader election this morning. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we end up the session with Kun Rangsiman beautifully. So now we move into the discussion with our speaker here in this room. เชิญพี่สมชายค่ะข้างหน้าค่ะ please. I would like to start from Kun Somchai Homlaor ค่ะ Actually, our two speakers here came together. The first one, Mr. Somchai Homlaor, I think he's a chairperson, right, of the Foundation for Human Rights and Development, or HRDF. And of course, Pi Somchai, or Kun Somchai, has been known by us for a long time as a human rights lawyer. Now, our senior friends who always involved with the important key issues, not only in Thailand, but also in the region as well. So together with Kun Somchai is Chai Jarm, our Tai Yai person. He's a migrant worker working in the agriculture sector. and he is now living in the northern Thailand. So Chai Jarm will also speak about his situation to the working place, but Kun Somchai will give us a more broader idea about the situation of the migrant workers in Thailand, and probably also adding a little bit on the regional issues as well. Kun Somchai, you have 15 minutes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, especially those are migrant workers from our neighboring countries. Actually, the information that I will provide to you mainly will convey the message to the people in other countries, not in Thailand, because we are here and we understand better, about the migrant workers in our countries, right? I would like to say that the problems, the root cause of the problem of the migrant workers in Thailand and in other countries in these regions, I believe that it's the same cause, of others problems or other issues like environment, right? And democracy and others that during the few days you have already discussed on this issue and will continue in a few days later. I have some slides to show to you, especially those in other countries, right? About the situation of the migrant worker in Thailand. These are migrant workers in Thailand. There are so many of them, mostly from our neighboring countries. Next. Okay, this is the information about the migrant workers in Thailand. Actually, we don't really know how many migrant workers here, right? But for documented migrant workers, recently in May, we have documented migrant workers 2.5 million. Yeah, and among them 1.8 million from Burma or Myanmar, 400,000 from Cambodia, 200,000 from Laos, and more than 100,000 from Vietnam and others, including the people from South Asia, right, and China. We have estimated the undocumented worker more than 300,000, but some researchers said that we have even more, because the migrant workers in Thailand may be different in other countries, because they come from neighboring countries and we have very long kilometers of boundary line. So they can come to Thailand easily, and they mainly or many of them come together, or later on their family members join their living here in Thailand. So at least there are 500,000 members of the family of the migrant workers in Thailand. So the significant number of migrant workers in Thailand are very, very important, because it's significant to our economic development and the impact to our society, and even the impact to our political issue. So it's comprising around 10% of our labor force. And we believe that the number is increasing, because the labor force of the Thai people or Thai citizen is decreasing, is lower and lower every year. So we are rely a lot for our development on the migrant workers, or the force of migrant workers. Next. Okay, where are they doing? Right? Fishing industry. Thailand is one of the big fishing industry in Southeast Asia. Next. Next, please. Okay, this is also marine or fishing industry. Next. Construction. This is one of the major, forced labor of the American workers because Thai people don't want to do this job. They want to be riders, motorcycle, taxi, that can get better income than being the construction workers or even working in the factories, right? So we have quite big, right, MRT or electric train. Next. And this is a mega project, and more. We will have more mega project, right? And we need more and more construction workers from our neighboring countries. Next. Yeah, you can see, especially during the COVID, they have a big problem. They face a big problem. Next. Yeah, agriculture or farm. Actually, sometimes it's farming sectors because also chicken farm, right, and others, pig farm, right, that they need, right, the force, the labor from the migrant workers. Next, the factories. Most of the factory workers migrant workers come to Thailand under the MOU, right? That may be different from agriculture sectors or fishing sectors or even construction workers. Yeah. So especially in the Eastern Seaboard, more investment. So they need more migrant workers. And the migrant workers in this area mostly come to Thailand under MOU system. Next. Okay. Why have they come to Thailand? Oh, there's so many causes or reasons. Okay, over labor force, especially some country like Cambodia, Laos, during the past 10 years, the number of population is increasing dramatically, right? Especially in Cambodia after the civil war, right? You have so many young generation and labor force. And even in some country like Cambodia, the economic growth is quite high, but it's not sufficient to absorb the growth of the laborers. So that why this is the reason that over labor force, they come to Thailand. Poverty is unemployed, low wage. Okay, comparing Thai minimum wage is not high, but comparing to our neighboring countries, still much higher. Especially, I think in this year, for example, in Laos, right, the value of the local currency is really low. So there are more people from Laos come to Thailand and also in Burma. Even in some country, they want to increase the minimum wage, like in Cambodia, and Vietnam, but comparing to Thailand is still. And we believe that under the government, that they gave the promise to Thai employees or Thai workers that they will increase the minimum wage. I believe that the people from neighboring country will come to Thailand more and more, right? Poor living condition, social and cultural relation, this is very important because, for example, in Laos or Cambodia, you have relatives, you have the same culture, right, along the borders, yeah, with the Thai citizens, right? So it's very easy, and they will not feel so become a strange person or to the local people. Some of them are related because in the past we don't have boundary. Yeah, the boundary just happened in these regions just around 100 years ago because of the colonization. In Burma civil war, this is a sample of the root cause. One root cause that why the people from neighboring country come to Thailand. But the Thailand investor invest a lot in our neighboring countries. Investment, like us building the dam, etc., even mining, is the way of the operation that push the people from their own lands, from their living and migrate to Thailand. So for the investor or for the capitalist, in one hand, they can exploit the natural resources in our neighboring countries. But at the same time, they can gain from the labor force that move from those countries to the factories or to the work in our countries. I think that, okay, next. This is one of the sample. You may aware that Thailand have so many big sugar cane company. Apart from operating in Thailand, they invested also in other countries like Cambodia mainly. And I think that in the future, they will invest also in Burma and others, right? They cooperate with the local people, the elites, the group of the leaders, the group of the power in Cambodia. And then they went to the villages. I think this happened in Udon Menchai, right? With a paper to say that, okay, this land, 10,000 hectares of land is belong to me. You can see this is the title deed. You have to go away. If you don't go away, this is the burning of their houses. I met some of them. I don't know, are you here or not? They ran to report to the police that their land was taken, their houses were burned down. This is illegal. They believe what the police said to them. Oh, they are the owners. They have the title deed. You should be charged of trespassing of their land. Many of them have to escape the persecution to Thailand and become the American workers. Next. Yeah, fortunately, there's some human rights organization, INGO and Thai NGO help them to bring the case to the court, to sue the Thai company in the court, now pending trial in the civil court, to claim for the compensation as a group. All right. This is one of the sample of P2P relation, right? I think that the community-based right organization, right, foundation, yeah, help them. Okay, next. Okay, the problems of the American workers restrict to access to human rights and labor rights. This restriction of right to association and collective bargaining. Because the American worker in Thailand is prohibited, right, to set up their own labor union. And the American worker in Thailand cannot be the members of the labor union, even the member of the subcommittee of the labor union. My foundation and the network try to do the campaign and advocacy for the Thai government to ratify ILO convention, to allow the migrant worker to set up their own trade union. Yes. Okay, this is the condition, living condition. Next. Okay. They are subject to, smuggling. Next. And sometimes they got arrested and deported back. And many of them are the asylum seekers, especially those from Burma. Actually, not only from Burma. There are many asylum seekers from Cambodia, from Laos, and from Vietnam were sent back to face the persecution and unfair justice. Next. The school, because they, according to Thailand, they cannot learn curriculum of Burmese or Laos or Vietnam. They have to study Thai. So in extra to that, they have to learn by themselves, right? Next. Okay, next. Okay. More complication and problem. I don't know. I was. Actually, I am, or I was, I don't know. The leftist before. But I identify China is imperialism, new imperialism, or Tahan, under the Belt and Road Initiative. And in the future, now more and more, migration from Chinese, and in the future, maybe from South Asia. Right? And Southeast Asia continent is becoming the front line of the conflict between the West and Russia and China. Conflict between authoritarian and democracy, etc. Next. Okay, our recommendation, just 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, SDG, you are aware already. We recommend or demand the government of ASEAN to ratify 8 core ILO convention, including C87 and C98. Ratification International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of all migrant workers and members of their families. Now only Indonesia and the Philippines that has already ratified. Cambodia signed but not ratified yet. So to protect the rights of the migrant worker and their family, Southeast Asian nations should ratify this convention. Okay, guarantee the human right, adopt the free flow labor in the future, right? With the common market, Southeast Asian countries should allow the free flow labor. Promotion, this is very important. I think the objective of this event is one to promote the strength, the people-to-people cooperation. And P2P relation, regrettably to say, not many people, even people organization, think about this. That difference from 20 years or 30 years before. And one of the reasons that why the people in this sub-region is more divided because of the clip that stimulate or manipulate by the leaders to create or to make the conflict among the people to the people. You can see so many clips, TikTok and others, that the people from Thailand criticize and condemn the people of Cambodia. The people of Cambodia condemned the people in Thailand, in Laos, and so many. So we fall in the trap of the leaders. So we have to strengthen the P2P cooperation. And the last one, I think that we have to promote gender equality and the role of the women. In the past, how the people in Southeast Asia survive, even though we are between the superpower. We call this region is Indochina. It means that we are between India, one superpower, and China, one of superpower. But why we can survive? During the past years, during 100 years, because the role of the women. It's true, you should study the history and human history of these regions. Thank you.
Thank you ค่ะ Thank you คุณสมชายค่ะ It's very special to have คุณสมชาย Homlaor here with us, and actually HRDF is kindly be one of the co-organizer of this panel as well. So now I pass to Chai Jarm. I think he will inform us about the actual situation on the ground, and I'll be his translator ค่ะเชิญเลยค่ะ
ครับก็ขอสวัสดีนะครับผมชายจามเนาะมาเป็นรายงานในภาคเกษตรนะครับมาจากภาคเหนือนะวันนี้จะขอพูดเป็นภาษาไทยเนาะเพราะไม่เคยถนัดอังกฤษแล้วครับครับผม
I'm a migrant worker, you know, in the agriculture sector, and I work and live in northern Thailand. I'm sorry that I have to use the Thai language.
ครับผมก็ก่อนอื่นนะครับจะขอพูดถึงเรื่องแรงงานข้ามชาติเนาะสาเหตุที่เข้ามาในทำงานในประเทศไทยเป็นจำนวนมากนะครับก็คือส่วนมากจะมาจากประเทศต้นทางนะครับประเทศเพื่อนบ้านเนาะโดยส่วนมากนะครับภาคเหนือก็จะมีประเทศเมียนมาหรือลาวนะครับสาเหตุที่เข้ามาทำงานในประเทศไทยก็คือเนื่องจากประเทศต้นทางนะครับไม่มีความสงบเนาะประเทศต้นทางมีการสู้รบบ้างหนีภัยสงครามบ้างหนีความยากจนบ้างอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับ
Okay, and basically, first of all, I think the reason, the main reason of why people have to move in to Thailand to be the migrant workers, because in our country we don't have enough peace. You know, it's either disturbed or by the war or the poverty, right? And people need to seek for the better life, so that's why they come here.
ครับก็เมื่อแรงงานข้ามชาติเหล่านี้นะครับอย่างพวกผมเขาเนาะคือเดินทางเข้ามาทำงานในประเทศไทยนะครับก็จะเข้ามาทำงานอยู่2ช่องทางเนาะก็คือช่องทางหนึ่งก็คือที่รัฐบาลไทยกับเมียนมาทำร่วมกันคือระบบ MOU นะแต่น้อยมากนะครับที่แรงงานอย่างจะเข้ามาตามระบบ MOU เพราะมีค่าใช้จ่ายสูงเนาะโดยส่วนมากนะครับแรงงานข้ามชาติจะเลือกวิธีมาตามช่องทางธรรมชาติมากกว่านะครับ
Actually, okay, you are using the actual example of the workers from Myanmar. Actually, they are the way, I mean, the MOU, the proper MOU between the Myanmar and Thai government, right? That you can enter into that process or the system, but you have to pay a lot. It is a lot more expensive. So most of the people choose the second way, like just came by themselves illegally through the border.
ครับก็พอแรงงานข้ามชาตินะครับได้เข้ามาตามช่องทางธรรมชาตินะมาทำงานในประเทศไทยนะครับโดยส่วนมากก็จะมาทำงานในภาคเกษตรและภาคเกษตรอุตสาหกรรมก่อสร้างแม่บ้านโรงงานอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับก็จะกระจายทำงานทั่วไปในประเทศเนาะ
So you can see the migrant worker from Myanmar and others. We are in every sector, right? Service sector, agriculture, construction, no? In all over ค่ะอะไรนะคะ domestic workers, no? in all over the places in Thailand.
ครับคือพอแรงงานข้ามชาตินะครับเข้ามาทำงานแล้วนะครับก็จะกลายเป็นผู้ใช้แรงงานในประเทศเนาะก็รอมติครม.ครับทีนี้รอมติครม.เปิดให้ขึ้นทะเบียนแรงงานอย่างเงี้ยคือช่วงแรกนะครับอาจจะเข้ามาแบบช่องทางธรรมชาติอาจจะแบบยังไม่ถูกกฎหมายเนาะแล้วทีนี้แรงงานก็รอนะครับมาทำงานแบบต้องใช้คำว่าหลบๆซ่อนๆไปก่อนนะคะก็รอประกาศครม.ให้ขึ้นทะเบียนอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
หมายถึงว่าประกาศเป็นครั้งคราว
ประกาศเป็นครั้งคราวครับ
Alright.
ครับ
So of course even though we came here illegally, the labor, right, the worker who always waiting for the what you call the ministry, I mean the cabinet resolution, right, to allow the numbers of the workers, right, to work legally. Like you can register later. So we have to kind of hiding, working secretly before we had that resolution from time to time.
ครับพอแรงงานข้ามชาติเข้ามาช่องทางธรรมชาตินะครับก่อนอื่นก็คือมาทำงานในภาคเกษตรก่อนเนาะเพราะจะต้องอยู่แบบหลบๆซ่อนๆก่อนนะครับพอมีมติครม.เปิดให้ขึ้นทะเบียนแรงงานไปลงทะเบียนคนที่ไม่มีเอกสารอะไรเลยลงทะเบียนพอลงทะเบียนแรงงานแล้วนะครับหลังจากนั้นแรงงานข้ามชาติเหล่านี้ก็จะขยับขยายเข้ามาในทำงานในเมืองนะครับหรืออาจจะเปลี่ยนอาชีพเปลี่ยนช่องทางที่คิดว่ารายได้จะดีกว่าอย่างเงี้ยครับ
So normally when we first came, because we are illegal, so people mostly hiding in the agriculture sector first, right? Because you have to work in the remote area, you don't have to face many people. But after you can register according to that cabinet resolution, they start to go to the city, right? They work in the sector that they can get more money.
ครับคือแรงงานนะครับอย่างพวกเราเนาะคือต้องอยู่แบบยากลำบากเนาะไม่ว่าจะประกาศคณะรัฐมนตรีให้ขึ้นทะเบียนนะครับก็คือถ้าขึ้นทะเบียนแรงงานนะครับก็คือจะยากนะครับเพราะว่าแรงงานของพวกเราโดยส่วนมากก็คือจะไม่ถนัดเรื่องของภาษาไทยนะครับการต่อเอกสารหรือการไปขึ้นทะเบียนอะไรต่างๆนะครับคือจำเป็นต้องไปจ้างในระบบบล็อกเกอร์เนาะหรือบริษัทนำเข้าดำเนินการให้อย่างเงี้ยครับซึ่งมีค่าใช้จ่ายที่สูงมากอย่างเงี้ยครับ
But in term of the registration, no, with the government process, we still have to pay a lot. Now, it's pretty hard for us, right? Because we cannot do it by ourselves. We don't have any document and other things, so we have to have the company, kind of the middleman, right, doing all this for us, and we have to pay to them. So in either way, we have to spend money, and then you can imagine we keep living in quite a hard life.
ครับถึงแม้ว่ารัฐบาลนะครับจะมีกฎกระทรวงเนาะให้กำหนดค่าใช้จ่ายเลยนะครับว่าใบอนุญาตทำงานเท่านี้ขึ้นทะเบียนใหม่เท่านี้นะครับหรือตรวจสุขภาพหรือซื้อหลักประกันเท่านั้นเท่านี้นะครับแต่ในทางความเป็นจริงแล้วนะครับแรงงานไม่สามารถที่จะไปขึ้นทะเบียนเองได้นะครับอันนี้ก็เป็นความยากลำบากของแรงงานนะสุดท้ายต้องจ้างนะครับคือถ้าตามกฎกระทรวงจริงๆนะครับแรงงานต่อคนก็ไม่เกิน 5-6 พันเนาะแต่มันไม่ใช่อย่างนั้นนะครับแรงงานกลับจะต้องไปจ้างเขาเรียกว่าระบบบริษัทนำเข้าหรือว่าในหน้าที่ดำเนินการให้เนาะคือแรงงานจะต้องเสียค่าใช้จ่ายนะครับปีหนึ่งไม่ต่ำกว่า 10,000 ถึง 20,000 บาทนะครับ
So actually there is a regulation from the government saying that you pay for this and that, right, for this process of the registration, and if you are following that exactly, you might only pay 5,000 to 6,000 baht. But because you have to have the company doing this for you, we pay 12,000, for example, a year in order to be the registered workers in this country.
ครับแล้วก็คือเมื่อแรงงานเหล่านี้ครับขึ้นทะเบียนไปแล้วนะครับก็ยังขาดหลักประกันเนาะหลายอย่างนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นหลักประกันด้านความปลอดภัยในการทำงานนะครับอย่างภาพนี้นะครับขอสไลด์ภาพอีกได้ไหมครับอย่างเงี้ยครับคือแรงงานข้ามชาติเหล่านี้นะครับที่ทำงานในภาคเกษตรโดยส่วนมากจะไม่มีประกันสังคมหรือกองทุนเงินทดแทนนะครับคือยังขาดหลักประกันเรื่องความปลอดภัยในด้านการทำงานนะครับครับ
One of the very big problem is the insurance, right? We don't have any proper insurance for our work. You can see the people in agriculture sector, they have to work like this, and we don't have anything in hand so in case of anything happen to us.
ก็คือขาดหลักประกันเรื่องความปลอดภัยเนาะหลักประกันด้านสุขภาพนะครับก็คือเมื่อคืนทะเบียนไปแล้วคือทางรัฐสวัสดิการไม่มีอะไรให้กับแรงงานข้ามชาติเลยนะครับแรงงานข้ามชาติจะต้องซื้อหลักประกันของตนก็คือซื้อประกันสุขภาพอย่างเงี้ยครับคือเหมือนกับว่าต้องซื้อทั้งนั้นนะครับ
Yeah. So even we already register into the system of the government, there is no health insurance or the security insurance for us for work. We have to buy it again. We have to buy the separate insurance package for ourselves. So everything is about money. We have to buy everything.
ครับก็คือต้องซื้อจากหน่วยงานของรัฐเนาะ จากโรงพยาบาลของรัฐและเอกชนที่ตามที่รัฐบาลกำหนดให้นะครับคือไม่ใช่ว่าซื้อปีนี้ใช้ได้ตลอดชีพไม่ใช่นะครับจะต้องซื้อทุกๆปีมันเหมือนกับว่าเพิ่มค่าใช้จ่ายให้กับแรงงานข้ามชาตินะครับทุกวันนี้แรงงานข้ามชาติก็เดือดร้อนอยู่นะครับเรื่องค่าใช้จ่ายที่สูงขึ้นหรือค่าตอบแทนในพื้นที่ค่าแรงในพื้นที่ไม่เพียงพออะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะครับ
So you can observe that this is a common problem that most of the workers here are facing. We spend too much. We don't have enough income to feed in this, paying system that require for to taking care of ourselves.
แล้วก็ลองคิดดูสิครับถ้าสมมุติว่าแรงงานข้ามชาติเนาะในภาคเกษตรนะครับทำงานแบบนี้นะครับไม่มีกองทุนเงินทดแทนนะฮะถ้าเกิดว่าเกิดอุบัติเหตุเนื่องจากการทำงานอย่างเงี้ยประกันสุขภาพที่ซื้อทุกปีนะครับจะไม่คุ้มครองหรือไม่รักษาไม่เยียวยาให้กับแรงงานข้ามชาติกลุ่มนี้เลยนะครับเพราะจะรักษาเฉพาะโรคภัยไข้เจ็บเท่านั้นนะฮะครับขอสไลด์ต่อไปด้วยได้ไหมครับ
กองทุนทดแทนนี่ภาษาอังกฤษว่าอะไรนะคะอะไรนะคะ Workmen Compensation Fund right he mentioned about this Workmen Compensation Fund which is actually is not อันนี้หมายถึงว่าจ่ายใช่ไหมคะจ่ายให้เนาะไอตัวกองทุนนี้จ่ายให้แรงงานใช่ไหมคะแต่ว่าไม่รวมสุขภาพ
ไม่รวมครับ
โอเค we have this money but it's not paying for the insurance right so they have to keep paying by themselves yeah
ครับก็คือตอนนี้นะครับในระบบของรัฐบาลไทยเนาะที่เปิดโอกาสให้แรงงานข้ามชาติซื้อประกันนะครับจะมีประกันสุขภาพของโรงพยาบาลก็คือจะรักษาได้เฉพาะโรคภัยไข้เจ็บนะโดยพี่น้องแรงงานในภาคเกษตรซะส่วนใหญ่นะครับก็จะซื้อระบบนี้ส่วนน้อยนะครับที่เข้าสู่ระบบประกันสังคมได้นะครับเนื่องจากว่าแรงงานในภาคเกษตรรัฐบาลไม่ให้เข้าสู่ระบบประกันสังคมทั้งหมดรัฐบาลมองว่าแรงงานในภาคเกษตรคือไม่ใช่แรงงานต่อเนื่องนะครับเป็นแรงงานตามฤดูกาลอย่างเงี้ยครับ
So after all we have been seen as the what you call not the is a temporary workers right so we have no right to enter into the proper social security system in Thailand so that's why we have to keep paying to the private sector all the time no so that's the problem of the system
ครับแล้วก็ผมคิดว่าแรงงานในภาคเกษตรเนาะก็เป็นแรงงานที่มีความเสี่ยงนะครับที่มีแรงงานข้ามชาติทำมากที่สุดนะครับแล้วก็ค่าแรงก็ในพื้นที่แต่ละพื้นที่ไม่เหมือนกันนะครับค่าจ้างขั้นต่ำของประเทศไทยและยังถูกสถานประกอบการหรือว่านายจ้างบางแห่งเนาะที่ยังจ่ายค่าแรงให้กับลูกจ้างไม่ตามกฎหมายหรือไม่ตามค่าแรงขั้นต่ำที่จังหวัดประกาศก็ยังมีเป็นจำนวนมากนะครับ
I have to address that actually the workers in the agriculture sector is the biggest group of the workers I mean from the migrant workers and actually when they are everywhere right in the rural area in the provinces in Thailand and this is very easy for the employer right to for the people who employ us that giving us not a real full amount of the payment according to the government right it's different varies according to the area so sometimes you cannot defend for yourself to get enough payment you have less all the time
ครับแล้วก็เมื่อช่วงโควิดที่ผ่านมาเนาะขอเล่าย้อนกลับไปนิดนึงนะครับแรงงานข้ามชาติน่ะได้รับผลกระทบแทบทุกอาชีพเนาะไม่ว่าจะแต่ไอ้ที่ได้รับผลกระทบมากที่สุดน่ะผมคิดว่าคงจะเป็นแรงงานในภาคเกษตรเนาะเพราะช่วงนั้นนะครับแรงงานข้ามชาติน่ะเขาจะห้ามเนาะไม่ให้เคลื่อนย้ายแรงงานไม่ให้ออกไปเก็บผลผลิตรวมตัวกันหลายๆคนอย่างเงี้ยครับซึ่งทำให้พี่น้องแรงงานข้ามชาติในภาคเกษตรโดยส่วนมากตกงานนะครับขาดรายได้ไปสักระยะหนึ่งนะครับซึ่งเป็นความยากลำบากนะครับ
And back to the COVID time, the pandemic time, we faced lots of problems as working in the agriculture sector because we are prohibited to move around, right? You cannot go and pick up the fruit or the agriculture products from outside or moving as a group. So many of us kind of lost our job for quite some time during the pandemic.
ครับแล้วก็แรงงานที่ได้รับผลกระทบก็คือจะมีก่อสร้างก็ได้รับผลกระทบเยอะเหมือนกันนะครับเพราะไม่สามารถที่จะเดินทางไปทำงานหรือรวมคนกลุ่มเยอะๆได้เนาะช่วงนั้นนะครับไม่ว่าจะก่อสร้างหรือเกษตรนะที่แรงงานข้ามชาติอาศัยทำมากที่สุดได้รับผลกระทบเป็นอย่างมากโดยเฉพาะผมด้วยนะครับตอนนั้น
The two main sector, right, that being affected a lot is the construction sector and the agriculture.
อ๋อครับแล้วก็อีกอย่างนะครับเรื่องหลักประกันด้านความปลอดภัยอาชีวะอนามัยเนาะของแรงงานข้ามชาติที่ทำงานในภาคเกษตรเนาะเพราะแรงงานข้ามชาตินะครับจะอยู่ในพื้นที่ภาคเกษตรก็คือจะมีที่พักอยู่ในแปลงหรือว่าในสวนที่นายจ้างจัดให้นะครับก็ค่อนข้างที่จะยากลำบากก็คือไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องที่พักที่แออัดเนาะและต้องใช้สารเคมีเป็นจำนวนมากในแปลงเกษตรนะครับเวลาฉีดยาฉีดอะไรมันก็จะกระเด็นหรือว่าได้รับผลกระทบส่วนตรงนั้นด้วยนะสำหรับสุขภาพของแรงงานข้ามชาติเนาะ
One issue that I would like to address is about the health problem because most of us who are working in the agriculture area, no, we have to live there, right? We have to live in the plot on the field next to the, maybe so they use lots of chemical and that's affected our health directly.
ครับผมแล้วก็อีกเรื่องนะครับก็เรื่องปัญหาสุขภาพของแรงงานในพื้นที่เนาะแต่ละพื้นที่นะครับก็อันนี้สรุปเลยใช่ไหมครับถ้าเวลาน้อยจะสรุปเนาะคือถ้าเป็นไปได้ครับอยากจะให้หน่วยงานที่เกี่ยวข้องเนาะทุกหน่วยงานนะครับช่วยดูแลนะครับไม่ว่าจะเรื่องหลักประกันด้านสุขภาพเนาะของแรงงานข้ามชาติในไม่ทุกอาชีพเลยครับไม่ว่าจะก่อสร้างแม่บ้านหรือภาคเกษตรเนาะยิ่งแม่บ้านตอนนี้เข้าประกันสังคมไม่ได้ด้วยนะครับอันนี้ก็น่าเป็นห่วงเนาะแล้วก็เรื่องการจัดทำเอกสารที่มันซับซ้อนยุ่งยากนะถึงแม้ประกาศครม.หรือประกาศจากกระทรวงแรงงานให้ทำเอกสารอย่างนู้นอย่างนี้ให้นายจ้างไปขึ้นทะเบียนสุดท้ายนายจ้างก็บางส่วนก็ไม่สามารถที่จะนำลูกจ้างไปขึ้นได้ต้องจ้างบล็อกเกอร์ที่มีค่าใช้จ่ายสูงทุกๆปีนะครับ
So finally, I would like to request or demand, if I can, as a migrant workers, that the government, the Thai government, need to put more emphasis on the insurance, especially the health insurance, the security of the workers. Many of us cannot do anything, right? Like the domestic workers, being hiding in their houses, they have no document or anything, and many of the people who hire them do not take them to do any process that can gain or make them have more security or the insurance. So maybe the government should have looking at this more. Yeah.
ครับก็อยากให้ทางหน่วยงานที่เกี่ยวข้องทุกหน่วยงานเนาะช่วยดูแลตรงนี้ด้วยนะครับถ้าเป็นไปได้แรงงานในภาคเกษตรเข้าสู่ระบบประกันสังคมหรือกองทุนเงินทดแทนก็ยิ่งดีเนาะคือตอนนี้นะครับถ้าใช้หลักประกันสุขภาพนะถ้าเกิดว่าเกิดอุบัติเหตุเนื่องจากการทำงานหลักประกันสุขภาพไม่สามารถดูแลแรงงานเหล่านี้ได้นะแต่ถ้าเป็นประกันสังคมหรือกองทุนเงินทดแทนก็พอช่วยเยียวยาได้เบื้องต้นเนาะซึ่งแรงงานในภาคเกษตรนะผมคิดว่าเป็นแรงงานที่ยากลำบากและที่ทำงานแบบอันตรายเหมือนกันนะครับอยากจะให้หน่วยงานที่เกี่ยวข้องช่วยปรับปรุงกฎหมายตัวนี้ด้วยนะเพื่อให้ควบคุมทั้งหมดนะครับครับผม
So it's about the improvement of the law, right? To make it clear, to make it be able to serve their needs, right? When something happened to us with the health or the accident, the social security so-called or the funding supposed to support us. Otherwise, we have nothing. We have no security in life. Thank you so much.
ครับขอเพิ่มอีกนิดนึงได้ไหมครับ
ค่ะเชิญค่ะเชิญ
เพราะว่าเรื่องของแรงงานเนาะผู้ใหญ่แล้วนะครับไอ้ที่เป็นปัญหาตอนนี้คือเรื่องของผู้ติดตามเด็กเนาะเด็กบุตรของแรงงานนะครับคือตอนนี้นะครับบุตรของแรงงานเนาะก็เรื่องหลักประกันสุขภาพนี่แหละครับที่มีปัญหาเพราะตอนนี้นะครับถ้าบุตรของแรงงานอายุเกิน6 ขวบขึ้นไปนะครับทางรัฐบาลเขาจะให้ซื้อประกันสุขภาพของโรงพยาบาลเท่ากับผู้ใหญ่ซึ่งเด็กเหล่านี้ยังทำงานไม่ได้นะครับจำเป็นต้องเสียค่าใช้จ่ายเหมือนผู้ใหญ่ทุกๆปีนะครับอันนี้ก็เป็นปัญหานะครับก็อยากจะขอให้หน่วยงานที่เกี่ยวข้องช่วยดูแลตรงนี้ด้วยเนาะครับเพราะว่าบุตรแรงงานข้ามชาติที่อยู่ในประเทศไทยก็ค่อนข้างที่จะเยอะนะครับ
In addition, our family as well right now, the children of the migrant workers, if you are more than 6 years old, you have to already pay the same as the adult, and the family have to pay for them. So please taking care of us, and our family. All right, นะคะ ขอบคุณมากค่ะ ใจจามค่ะ with this situation. Thank you so much. I think everything that we are presenting here, the key point will be gathered by Shalmali, no? And Shalmali will come back at the end of our discussion to summarize for us. Then, in order to save time, I'm not open for the question yet, no? But I will move to our other speakers. I think I see the Cambodian team here. We have our speakers from the fishery sector from Cambodia, and he will be translated by Ridan Sun from Focus on the Global South. I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. At Long going to talk about he's from the Coalition of Cambodia Fishers, and he's also in the team of the Action Research in Cambodia. And then I think we expect him to talk to us about the issues of the fisheries and the river, probably as a life resource for them. And Ridan will translate freshly from Cambodia. So please, Ridan.
Yes, thank you. I will translate from Somchai. អរគុណជំរាបសួរខ្ញុំបាទឈ្មោះអ៊ុតឡុងជាប្រធានសហគមន៍នេសាទហើយជាម្ដាយរបស់សហគមន៍នេសាទប្រចាំបឹងទន្លេសាបខ្លីៗពូ Greeting from Cambodia. My name is Ut Long. I am the fishery president and also the fishery alliance working around Thule Sap Lake. ហើយតើតើនឹងបឹងទន្លេសាបនេះមានធ្វើឲ្យមានជោគជ័យតាមពីដំណើរការរយៈពេលជាង20ឆ្នាំហើយបាទជាង20ឆ្នាំបឹងទន្លេសាបនេះសហគមន៍នីមួយៗបាទសហគមន៍នីមួយយើងបានចុះសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវពីបញ្ហាអ្នកនេសាទនៅតាមដងទន្លេសាបបាទហើយឃើញថាពួកគាត់នឹងមានការប្រែប្រួលបាទការប្រែប្រួលទីមួយគាត់បានយល់ដឹងពីបញ្ហាការត្រៃអតតនមច្ឆាជាតិថយចុះបាទហើយពួកគាត់ក៏បានរៀបចំតំបន់អភិរក្សការពារដែនជម្រកសត្វត្រីនឹងជាជម្រកមេពូជសម្រាប់សហគមន៍នីមួយៗបាទខ្លីៗបាទ So we has been involved with the fishery issue for more than 20 years, and there are some successful case also because we has been conducting research with the fishery community around the Lesap and to empower the fishery community to understand what's going on around the lake, to understand about the fishery issue, why people are getting poor. And then we set up the fishery conservation area for each community to protect the fishery resources for their own livelihood. Yeah. ប៉ុន្តែទន្ទឹមនឹងបានជោគជ័យនេះក៏ប៉ុន្តែរយៈពេល5ឆ្នាំ6ឆ្នាំចុងក្រោយនេះវាមានទន្លេសាបវាមានបញ្ហាមួយបាទបញ្ហាត្រង់ថាទឹកនៅបឹងទន្លេសាបគឺមានការថយចុះមានដូចសពនៅកាលសពដងទេឆ្នាំមុនហ្នឹងយើងមានទឹកធំអាចនន់មច្ឆាជាតិចូលក្នុងបឹងទន្លេសាបហើយទឹកក៏ច្រើនត្រីក៏សម្បូរក៏ប៉ុន្តែរយៈពេល5 6ឆ្នាំឃើញទឹកតែថយចុះមូលហេតុដែលទឹកថយចុះនេះគឺមានការបំរែបំរួលអាកាសធាតុផងហើយមានការសាងសង់ទំនប់វារីអគ្គិសនីបែកខាងលើបាទធ្វើឲ្យចរន្តទឹកមានការប្រែប្រួលហើយទឹកធ្វើឲ្យទឹកទន្លេសាបនឹងមានទឹកតូចបាទទឹកតូចធ្វើមច្ឆាជាតិក៏ថយចុះដែរបាទ So this last 3 to 6 years we has been observed that the river flow meaning the river flow getting less and less because of
climate change. And secondly, it related with the hydro dam construction in other country. And this is cause very like a bad impact to the fishery community because it decrease a lot of like fish sources for the fishing community. Yeah.
ទៅតងបញ្ហាមួយទៀតមានភ្លើងឆេះព្រៃបាទភ្លើងឆេះព្រៃតាមដងជុំវិញបឹងទន្លេសាបនឹងធ្វើឲ្យវាលហោឋានឲ្យងាប់អស់សត្វដូចជាសត្វពស់សត្វដើកសត្វអីហ្នឹងហើយទី2តកតងនឹងបឹងបួរវិញ្ញារៈគូដោយសារទឹកតូចបាទកាលណាទឹកតូចក្នុងពេលណាធ្វើឲ្យរាំងស្ងួតខ្លាំងធ្វើឲ្យព្រៃជុំវិញបឹងទន្លេសាបឆេះគ្រប់ច្រកល្ហកទាំងអស់ហើយទី3តកតងទៅនឹងការដុតបំផ្លាញឈូសឆាយព្រៃលិចទឹកនឹងធ្វើជាកសកម្មធ្វើស្រែចម្ការ
Okay. Another significant impact is related with the fire of flooded forests around Tonle Sap. We observe that this is one of the most devastating issue, killing like the bird, snake, or turtle. And recently, because of the lower flow in Mekong to Tonle Sap, it caused like a very small lake around the Tonle Sap lake dry up, killing many fish. And also we see a lot of like illegal action clearing the flooded forest for agricultural land purpose.
ហើយបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះខាងខ្ញុំក្រុមសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវហើយក៏ជាមិត្តបណ្ដាញបឹងទន្លេសាបជំវិញបឹងទន្លេសាបនេះចុះផ្សព្វផ្សាយដើម្បីដាំព្រៃលិចទឹកឡើងវិញទី2ស្ដារស្រះស្ដារបឹងអភិរក្សដែលបានរិញរៈគោកនឹងឲ្យបានជ្រៅដើម្បីឲ្យបានត្រីនៅក្នុងតំបន់អភិរក្សការពារនោះឲ្យបានកើតឡើងវិញបាទ
So based on our like a commitment as the Action Research Team and the Fishery Coalition member, we are promoting the planting flooded forests around Tonle Sap, and we also like asking the collaboration for rebuilding the fishery conservation area in order to make the lake or the pond getting much deeper in order to let the fish can stay longer for breeding. តកតងនឹងបញ្ហាមួយទៀតតកតងនឹងខាងក្រុមហ៊ុនវិនិយោគធ្វើទំនប់វារីអគ្គិសនីខ្នាតធំនឹងគេនឹងរៀបចំធ្វើមួយទៀតក៏ប៉ុន្តែយើងបានចុះផ្សព្វផ្សាយទៅតាមដាញទន្លេទាំង3បាទទន្លេ3ខាងលើដងទន្លេមេគង្គដែលយើងសហការគ្នាចង់ជាបណ្ដាញសហគមន៍ផ្នែកខាងលើហ្នឹងយើងចុះផ្សព្វផ្សាយឲ្យយើងចេះតវ៉ាឡើងតវ៉ាជាមួយសាងសង់ទំនប់វារីអគ្គិសនីខ្នាតធំមួយនៅត្រង់ខេត្តក្រចេះក៏ប៉ុន្តែគេបានចុះសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវពីផលប៉ះពាល់ផលអីទាំងអស់ឲ្យក្រុមហ៊ុននឹងផ្អាកសិនបាទ So another effort we are networking to the 3S project in order to disseminate the information to the local community for not allowing the big company for building the hydro dam at the upstream in the Grati province. So as a result, we heard the company has been postponed in order to conduct about the impact assessment before building it, continue to building it. Yeah.
ហើយចុះក្រុមសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវយើងបានចុះពិនិត្យមើលកន្លែងតំបន់ដែលធ្វើវិរិយអគ្គិសនីថ្មីហ្នឹងហើយយើងបានផ្ដល់ប្រជុំ2ដងហើយនៅខាងទន្លេមេគង្គខាងលើយើងបានតវ៉ាថាអោយក្រុមហ៊ុនសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវឲ្យបានច្បាស់លាស់ពិតប្រាកដហើយសូមដំណើរការតើមានចំណងសងដល់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋកសិករដែលនៅជិតក្បែរទំនប់សាងសង់នឹងអត់បាទឈប់រៀងនេះដែរសំណង Okay, so we has been visit the
construction site and then conduct the 2 meetings with local community to raise about the impact assessment with the local authority and the company before building it. And also we talking with the local community to ask about the fair compensation first before the company building the dam.
ប៉ុន្តែនៅក្នុងនោះគឺថាទំនប់វារីអគ្គិសនីដែលធ្វើនៅខេត្តកញ្ចេះនោះដាច់ខាតត្រូវតែធ្វើប៉ុន្តែគេបង្វែរទឹកធ្វើឲ្យទឹកចរន្តទឹកមួយខ្សែទៅធ្លាក់មកបឹងទន្លេសាបក៏ប៉ុន្តែវាទោះបីគេបង្វែរទឹកនឹងក៏ដោយក៏ប៉ុន្តែតកូននឹងមច្ឆជាតិគឺมันអាចហូរចូលក្នុងបឹងទន្លេសាបបានទេបាទ
as the company representative mentioned, they say that whatever happened, the dam is still constructed, and they say that they will let the one stream in Krati province will flow to the Tonle Sap as normal, but based on his experience, he said that when the dam are constructed, it will be like a costing the flow of fish to migrate to Tonle Sap. Yeah.
បាទកាលណាបើសិនតែជីកព្រែកមួយបញ្ចេញពីក្បាលទំនប់មកបឹងទន្លេសាបធ្វើទន្លេសាបពុះកាន់តែខ្លាំងអាហ្នឹងទី1ហើយទី2បើសិនជាទប់ទឹកនឹងមិនជីកព្រែកនឹងទៀតទេបឹងទន្លេសាបនឹងកើតទៅវាលស្រែវិញហើយអត់មានទឹកអីទៀតទេព្រោះទំនប់នឹងត្រូវការទឹកត្រូវការបចាល់ទឹកហើយទឹកមិនទៀងទាត់បាទធ្វើឲ្យត្រីនឹងអត់មានពងកូនទី2ដីនឹងកាន់តែនៅបៃខាងលើអត់មានទឹកអត់មានព្រៃហើយនាំគ្នាឈូសឆាយធ្វើកសិកម្មផងអីផងហើយកាត់ទី3ដីតំបន់3និងតំបន់2ហ្នឹងគឺកាត់ខ្វៀលឲ្យមកប្រជាពលរដ្ឋឲ្យទៅអ្នកស្រុកខាងផ្នែកខាងលើធ្វើកសិកម្មហើយថ្មីនេះទៀតការខ្វៀលដីរបស់រាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលរបស់ជលផលហ្នឹងធ្វើឲ្យមានក្រុមហ៊ុនសាជីវកម្មមួយចំនួនបានចុះមករកទិញដីបាទសម្រាប់ដល់ជាពលរដ្ឋស្នាតតំបន់3បាទអញ្ចឹងហើយបានតែខ្ញុំនឹងកំពុងតែចុះផ្សព្វផ្សាយពីរឿងការក្រុមហ៊ុនអ្នកមានអំណាចឬអ្នកមានលុយនឹងចុះទិញដីនឹងដើម្បីទប់ស្កាត់កុំឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋលក់ដោយសារអីគេខ្វៀលនឹងសម្រាប់ឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋមានដីធ្វើហើយក៏ប៉ុន្តែបែរទៅលក់ឲ្យអ្នកមានលុយទៀតធ្វើឲ្យខាតប្រយោជន៍ទៅឲ្យជីវភាពរបស់គាត់នឹងបាត់បង់វិញទៅ
Okay. He speak a lot. I will try to recap. He said when the company try to convey the water through the canal, so it will cause many problems. Like the Tonle Sap Lake will be dry up, and then the land will become. Tonle Sap Lake will become the right field for people, and there is no like a fishing ground area for the fish, and then the land will become. The flooded forest land will become the agricultural land, be grabbing by the individual family. And then recently, based on this issue, the company come to negotiate, to buy the land in order to use the land in the zone 2 and zone 3 in Tonle Sap for the agricultural purpose. So when this is happen, it will be like a convey the public interest to become just giving the interest to the company or the rich people instead, meaning it's not for the benefit of the poor. Yeah.
ហើយតើតើថ្មីនេះមានគម្រោងអភិវឌ្ឍមួយគេនឹងស្ដារប្រឡាយឡើងពីទន្លេសាបដើម្បីយកទឹកធ្វើកសិកម្មអញ្ចឹងស្ដារទៅតាមពីខេត្តកំពង់ឆ្នាំងរហូតមកដល់ព្រំប្រទល់បាត់ដំបងអញ្ចឹងដែនដីខាងប៉ែកតំបន់2បឹងទន្លេសាបនឹងគេចោះទិញនឹងគឺមានគោលនងធ្វើកសិកម្មរបស់ក្រុមហ៊ុនធំនឹងមក
So recently, they one big development project. They come to buy the land around Tonle Sap, and then they start building the irrigation system by converting the water from the Tonle Sap to irrigate their farming. system, and the project starting from Kampong Chnang to Badambong. So when it happened, it will be costing a lot of trouble for the people.
បាទហើយអញ្ចឹងហើយបានខ្ញុំខាងក្រុមសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវនឹងបណ្ដាញសហគមន៍បឹងទន្លេសាបនេះធ្វើការប្រជុំគ្នាឆាប់នេះទៀតបាទដើម្បីទប់ស្កាត់ដើម្បីតវ៉ាហើយនឹងចុះផ្សព្វផ្សាយដល់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋនៅខាងផ្នែកខាងលើហើយនឹងផ្នែកទន្លេសាបផ្នែកខាងក្នុងទឹកទន្លេសាបនឹងផងដែរដើម្បីឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋនឹងចេះតវ៉ាចេះការពារព្រីលិចទឹកហើយនឹងដាំដើមព្រីលិចទឹកឡើងវិញហើយទី3តកតទៅនឹងបង្គោលព្រំប្រទល់របស់ដែលតំបន់3ហ្នឹងគឺការពារឲ្យបានផ្ដាច់ការពារឲ្យបានជាប់គង់វង្សហើយកុំឲ្យក្រុមហ៊ុនដែលមានលុយមានកាត់ហ្នឹងឈូសឆាយបន្ថែមទៀតបាទ
អរគុណ I said as the action research member of Fishery Coalition we are trying to disseminate the information to the fishery community first to unite each other to protect the flooded forest and then to protect the fishery zone in order to use it as the like a public purpose if not allowing the company to take that land for the individual purpose. Yes, thank you.
ហើយសំណូមពរជាចុងក្រោយខ្ញុំបាទនឹងចេះនឹកឃើញថារយៈពេល3ឆ្នាំទៅក្រោយគម្រោងផែនការរបស់បណ្ដាញសហគមន៍នេសាទបឹងទន្លេសាបនេះនឹងរៀបចំក្នុងសហគមន៍នីមួយៗត្រូវមានអភិរក្សយ៉ាងហោចណាស់ឲ្យមាន2កន្លែងដើម្បីបង្កើនផលនេសាទនឹងឲ្យបានច្រើនពីព្រោះកន្លែងដែនសាធារណៈនឹងគេរកអត់មានប្រចាំថាបាត់ល្មើសមិនបាត់ល្មើសទេអញ្ចឹងហើយឲ្យគាត់ចេះការពារចេះពង្រីកតំបន់អភិរក្សពូជត្រីហើយទី3នឹងផ្សព្វផ្សាយពីបញ្ហាការដាក់ដាំនិងការចិញ្ចឹមរបស់ជានេសាទជុំវិញបឹងទន្លេសាបនេះបាទអរគុណបាទ
And he would like to request 3 points. First, rebuild the fishery conservation area or expand at least one community have the 2 fishery conservation area for people themselves to protect it and កាយបឹងរួចហើយទៅនឹងតំបន់អភិរក្សបន្ថែមបានមកសហគមន៍បាន2ហើយទី3តកតនកតាជីវភាពរបស់ជាពលរដ្ឋនឹងបង្កើនការដាំហើយការចិញ្ចឹមដោយខ្លួនឯង So the last point we wish that all relevant like actor or government will try to promote the livelihood alternative like raising the fish or doing another job for the fishery community. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. You're exactly on time, no? Yeah, 10 minutes to speak and 10 minutes to translate. Thank you. And Tolesap issue is a very big issue, not only for Cambodia, no, but for us, the Mekong, in the Mekong region. So we have 30 minutes left, and we have another 2 speakers here. Ohmar asked to be the last person to speak, so I think I will give the floor to Abby. Abby Dupale, right, from the Indigenous. Actually, Abby is with LILAK, right? LILAK. I'm sorry, I have lost your. Maybe you can introduce yourself a bit, no, later. And so we are going to hear about the Indigenous women rights and struggles. 10 to 15 minutes, please. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Abby. I am with LILAK, Purple Action for Indigenous Women's Rights, and I will be sharing with you our report. So in the Philippines, we are submitting a report to CEDAW. So to anyone of us who are not familiar, so CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discriminations Against Women. So at the same time, we at LILAK, we will be submitting a shadow report. So we will be sharing about the experiences of the Indigenous women human rights defenders in our community partners. And this will be all part of my report today. Okay. First slide, please. Okay, so before we start, a little introduction of LILAK. We are LILAK, Purple Action for Indigenous Women's Rights. We are a collective of women activists, feminists, lawyers, indigenous women in the Philippines who were supporting the indigenous women's struggle. And next slide. What we do is we support the cultural, economic, and political rights of the indigenous women. And we do this, next slide please. Yes, so we do this through advocacy, learning sessions, capacity building of indigenous women, and through empowerment. So if you can see in the photos, here are some of the examples of our advocacies that are posted online. You can see this in all of our sites and our social media accounts, and some photos during our learning sessions where we tackle about the rights of indigenous women, the rights as women, as indigenous. Yeah. Okay. So the context in the Philippines, it is, we are whispering earlier with Jewong that sana all, how do you say that in English? Hope everyone listening to Thailand that the youth are united and they are listened to by their parents, because in the Philippines we can't do that. It's very hard to do that. The youth are very progressive. There are a lot of environmental human rights defenders who are young, and so during the last election, we lost because our, how do you say that? Our elders, our parents, do not listen to what we're saying, because they're saying that we're still not born during the martial law. Because for the information of everyone us here, our new president is the son of the late dictator in the Philippines. So the continuation of his projects, oh, I will talk about that later. Sorry. So we have a new president. Next slide, please. But for the 9 consecutive years, the Philippines has been the most dangerous country in Asia for land and environmental defenders. And there's a lot of saying that because of the new, that we should give chance to the new government, because he is not as blatant as our past president, who says that he doesn't care about human rights, but to human lives. But yeah, so you get it. The new president doesn't speak like that, but on what is happening, the programs, the policies that are being implemented in the Philippines is the same. So the government is looking at in the land, how do you say that? Sorry. So what is happening is the state is looking at the lands, the ancestral domains of indigenous communities as profitable. So the plantation, the mining, the land grabbing, dam construction, the killing and harassments of EHRDs, of environmental human rights defenders, is continuing even with the new government. And so as long as there's a contradiction on how the government and how the community sees the land, this destruction and these killings will persist. And that's how we are looking at the context of the Philippines right now. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the change of the government has not offered hope towards overcoming these challenges. With LILAK, we are starting this series, Ungkatan ng Past. How do you say that? Digging, trying to dig the past. Yeah, because the policies that are being implemented by the new president is like a copycat of the of the laws and the policies and the framework that his late father has implemented in the past. So we are looking at the continuous killings of community leaders, continuous destruction of the environment in the Philippines, and these are all reflected in our CEDAW Shadow report. We can share it to you to, how do you say that? We listed a lot of yung mga cases ng cases of human rights violations that has happened for the past decade, to share on what is really happening in the ground and what is really the experience of the indigenous women human rights defenders in the Philippines. Next slide, please. And so, but of course, we are not stopping there. We continue to persist and to fight this misogynist and violent government. Yeah. So last 2 months ago, a month ago, sorry, we had the Indigenous Women Human Rights Defenders gathering. So in the Philippines with LILAK, this is a yearly tradition that during the State of the Nation of the President, where he says his lies, sorry, we are narrating what is really happening in the ground, what is really the experience of the indigenous women, what is really the experiences and stories of the youth. And so we shared during this space on how we can collectively work towards our rights and how we can take care of each other, and what are our calls to the government and our recommendations on how we can properly implement probably the progressive laws that we have. So I and Ate Rizel here are part of the UN HRD forum the past days, and we've heard that the same with the other countries. Comparing to other countries, the laws in the Philippines are very progressive. There are a lot of rights that are supposedly being, how do you say that, not babantayan. Yeah, a lot of our rights should be protected, but because of the poor implementation in the ground, even the authorities do not know about the rights of indigenous people. So that's where the problem lies. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here are the calls. Next slide. So it's very important for us to continue the documentation and profiling of indigenous women human rights defenders issues, because if we can see it on the media, we can't see it in the media. We are not aware of what is really happening on the ground, what is really happening on indigenous communities. So we can only read about it if we heard it from them directly, but the national media or the local media, for example, do not cover it. So because we can't hear about it, of course, we won't know how to handle it, how to challenge it. And so the human rights violation in the communities are persistent and continuing, and a lot of indigenous women leaders are being killed and harassed as this happens, and we don't know about it. And so the government are not doing anything to solve it. Yeah, so here, for example, on our photos, so we have a training of indigenous women human rights documenters. So as indigenous women, they are they are on the ground. So it is them who can document the human rights violation that is happening in their community. So Ate Rizel here is one of our leader of the documentation, the TK3, we call it, Tanggol Karapatan ng Katutubong Kababaihan. So indigenous women human rights documenters. So they are the one who goes to the who responds to the human rights violation that is happening in their community, and they are the one who documents it and forwards it to the local government to file cases, for example. And yeah, so this is one of our recommendations to continue this documentation and profiling. Next slide, please. Yeah, so continuing the seeking of accountability on our government. As I have mentioned earlier, the past government, the past administration has a lot of human rights violation in the Philippines, not just in in the Philippines. So we should continue to seek accountability from them, and the same with the new administration, who is continuing the human rights violations that is happening, and the outright not implementing the rights of the community members. Next slide, please. Yeah, and to continue, we are calling for to revoke the EO70 and abolish NTF-LCAC. So EO70 is the anti-terrorism law in the Philippines. So during the pandemic, while everyone is at their home being sick of COVID, our government prioritized the filing. Pagpasa. Yeah, the filing of EO70 or the anti-terrorism law. So anti-terrorism law and the NTF-LCAC, which is the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict in the Philippines. So because of this, the killing and the harassments and the red tagging in the community, especially in the indigenous communities, as those who are criticizing the government, those who are saying, fighting for the rights and seeking accountability are being red tagged and being harassed and killed because of this. And one of the examples is these two women environmental activists who were abducted just this September because they're alleged to be terrorists in the Philippines, but they are environmentalists. So this is continuing in the Philippines. So we are calling for the revocation of the EO70 because we think that we think that this is not, yes, this is just, how do you say that, pinapalala. It's just worsening the situation of the community members, and yes, okay. Thank you very much. I think that's it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Abby. I'm not sure if Ohmar is here in the Zoom room already. Our Khin Ohmar, our friends from Myanmar. Okay, Ohmar is here with us. So let me just proceed to our final speaker before we, summarize at the end by Shalmali. No? Ohmar, Khin Ohmar, I think many of us knowing her. Ohmar is also the long-standing activist, the human rights activist, and now she's with the group called Progressive Voice, I understand. But Ohmar can introduce herself to us a bit more as well. So Ohmar, please, you have 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, please. Yeah.
Thank you so much, P, and good afternoon, good morning to all the friends. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be joining you in person, but I'm really grateful for this opportunity to update you the situation, the crisis in Myanmar, and also share with you of the solutions that we see that can address the current ongoing crisis. May I share I have a PowerPoint. Can I do the share screen now? Okay, I will do that. Can you see it now?
See it? Yes.
You see? Please give me just 1 second. I'm not familiar. I'm not very good with this. Just 1 second. Maybe I should have to start there. Okay. The slideshow from the start, right?
Yeah, you want to make it, okay.
Yeah, can you see that full screen
Yes,
now?
yeah.
Oh, great, thank you. And you can see me, right? Okay, thank you so much again. So my name is Khin Ohmar, as Yang kindly introduced me. I've been a long-term Burmese democracy and human rights activist for the past 35 years. And I will share with you today of where things are now in Myanmar. So I believe that you follow more or less of this current crisis in Myanmar for the last 2.5 years. The situation in Myanmar, in terms of the human rights, like a crisis, has been for a long time. There have been this like a continuously military coup, one after another. The military regimes stay in power for decades and decades. So it just for the last, ever since the Burma Myanmar gained independence from 1948. So we have been in this crisis one after another, where the military continue to stay on power. So like for the about 70 years, some people use as conflict, but at this particular moment, as we speak, Myanmar is at war. It is a war of the Myanmar people, the nation, the people of the nation against this illegal military junta. And the military junta is using all-out war against the people and against this democratic resistance movement. So in the last 2.5 years, the military, Myanmar has this 10 years of opening up to the world from 2010 onward. There was a bit of this opening, many of us had this hope, so much of this hope in the country's democratization, the civil society coming to be very vibrant, the media freedom, and many of these things. But then in 2021, this military tried to take over the country with the illegal coup attempt. And that's where the whole country rise up to reject the military's attempt to take over the country. And this 2.5 years being a non-stop democratic resistance movement, which is also the non-stop military's attack against the people. The way the military is using the way how they are using the violence now, it is in form of this collective punishment. And in that, what we mean by the collective punishment is if you are against them, your whole family will be targeted for torture, killing, imprisonment, arrest. If your community is against them, the entire community or the villages will be militarily attacked and burned down. So there's been this widespread and systematic attacks, including this attacking the family members and entire communities, and arbitrary arrest, detention, torture, extrajudicial killings, also destroying and confiscating properties, burning down villages. But what worse is also the artillery shellings and non-stop airstrikes. This military is using air force to bomb the civilians areas, like deliberately targeting. So more than 70,000 houses and properties already been destroyed from these artillery shellings and airstrikes. And oh, sorry, I have to go back. What do I do with this? Oh, here. So in 2022, last year, Myanmar recorded the highest number of violence targeting civilians globally. That goes beyond Syria and Ukraine, yeah. And many people don't realize that how severe attacks this military has been carrying out. Their air force power that they get support from, like Russia and Belarus, and so that's many of these international actors who, like Russia being on the the war against Ukraine, but also sitting on the Security Council, is actually selling arms to Myanmar military that the military is using, killing the people. And that has caused immense people suffering in Myanmar at this point. According to one of our colleagues, the Former Political Prisoners Organization, they're very, very good at documenting. As of yesterday, September 2023, the military junta killed at least 4,098 people. This is it could be the very low number because there are areas that the AAPP couldn't have access to, but they have very strong documentation, already made documentation of this 4,098 people being killed. Many of them, hundreds of them, are children and women as well, who are pro-democracy, human rights defenders, and democracy and human rights activists. Then the military already arrested more than 24,000. It's nearly 25,000 people. At the moment, nearly 20,000 people remain in detention, facing the routine torture, sexual and gender-based violence, ill treatment. There is no access for the family members to have access. Many of the family members don't even know where their children or their family members are being detained. There are many who are like, professionals, doctors, and also the like media and journalists, and so the military also has been they have gone so far to the point of also started the execution. So last year they executed 4 very well-known pro-democracy activists. 2 of them are very well-known. One is a former parliamentarian, members of the parliament, and they already sentenced over, like, I think 145 being sentenced to death. So, but in addition to that, in 2023 alone, the prison authorities have taken out some of the democracy activists, young ones, say that they say that, oh, they are transferring these activists to the another prison, but they never actually arrive in the other prisons either. And then the family members receive the notification from the prison authorities saying, oh, because they tried to flee, they tried to flee, there was a shooting, they got killed. So basically the family members were informed, but they never received the bodies of their children after all this happened. So it's very, very worrying. Is among 145, a few of them are actually children younger than 18. These non-stop attacks, you can really see how the country has now turned to be a complete different landscape, because all of these civil society, community-based organizations, come to be very vibrant across the country, working on human rights, women's rights, ethnic and minority rights, LGBTIQ, labor rights, doing human rights documentations, also delivering the humanitarian aid, doing their human rights advocacy work. All of these being attacked. Another very new category of the movement is labeled as the civil disobedience movement. What that means is the civil servants under the government infrastructures and ministries, the professionals, from health and education, and also the workers from the private sectors, they all categorically rejected this military and stated that they will not work under this military. So they refused to work. They stopped going to the work, but also joining the democracy movement with their non-violence actions. They don't go to the schools under the control by the military, but instead they set up their online courses, online universities. There's many universities now with young people, as well as the higher education students, tens of thousands of students studying online. So they don't go under the military, but they continue to be contributing for the health and education. The same for the health workers. They go and work, clandestinely So that's how they've been doing. There's all these media and journalists, over 100 journalists were arrested. So it's really a very challenging situation that we're having, the crisis at the moment. And it's really is like that really uprooted the country's larger communities across the country. And now, you see tens of thousands of Myanmar people leaving the border across to Thailand or Malaysia or, like Bangladesh, India, and they come to be also lack of this human security as they try to flee from this military violence. Yeah. But the way the Hmong people in Myanmar are doing is helping each other. The diaspora community across the globe are also lending in their resources to support their people, their families, their communities in the country, including addressing this man-made humanitarian disaster. And that's where the diaspora community are playing a very great, really major role. But the problem that we're having is the ASEAN, because Myanmar crisis, the whole world, including the United Nations and the UN Security Council, passed on Myanmar's crisis to the ASEAN, for the ASEAN as a regional bloc to address it as if Myanmar is the member country. But the problem is ASEAN lacks the capacity and also the common political will to really utilize what they have, including the charter and other existing mechanisms to address this crisis. Then they come up with this, what they call as the ASEAN 5-point consensus to address the Myanmar crisis two years ago. That's completely failed. The violence intensifying, humanitarian crisis looming further. And at the same time, the ASEAN continue to lend the legitimacy to this illegal terrorist military junta. And that's a huge problem we're having. Is also there are companies, corporations in ASEAN countries, like, from Vietnam, from Singapore, for example, are sending them, basically there's a financial flow. The military is getting all this finance, as well as also the arms. For example, Singapore have this, companies providing needs for the Myanmar military. So we have a huge problem. So I just want to bring you to my last point, is where are the solutions for this long entrenched crisis in Myanmar that is already impacting to the region, the neighboring countries and beyond, including Indonesia, which is a country far from Myanmar. But then the people from Myanmar, the Rohingya people, using the boat, trying to land to the shore on different islands in, wherever that they could land to survive, right? So they are landing in Indonesia, for example. And ASEAN needs to go beyond this 5-point consensus. We had one big coming together in Jakarta on August 30. And then there is a group of regional experts who examine the ASEAN's approach on Myanmar. And they have made some recommendations which are reflective and in line with our Myanmar people. First is that the junta's violence and atrocities are crimes against humanity and war crimes. And there was a genocide against the Rohingya in 2017. And all of these crimes by the Myanmar military, represent the lowest point of ASEAN's existence and influence, in which actions by ASEAN does not represent the freedom and democracy values of the ASEAN people or the charter. The 5-point consensus completely failed. The cessation of violence, humanitarian and delivery, all of these areas, in fact, we're seeing further exacerbation. So the current crisis is no longer the past. It's already very different. ASEAN needs to take proactive approach. We haven't seen that yet. The ASEAN also must address the root cause in Myanmar crisis, which is the Myanmar military. They must cut the ties with the military junta and not give them any further legitimacy that they are given right now. But also the most important is this Myanmar military junta must be held accountable by law. Otherwise, this country, our country, have no way of moving forward. We need to develop the human rights based and victim-centered strategies to navigate the actions beyond the ASEAN 5-point consensus. And then this strategic cooperation between the countries sharing the borders with Myanmar for more effective humanitarian aid. And we really need to see the people-to-people solidarity approach in that, because the states, we cannot rely on them. ASEAN, we cannot rely on them. So we would like for your support as well in this area for this people-to-people solidarity approach for addressing the humanitarian crisis. And ASEAN really need to shift to that people-centered approach that they always claim to be, but we're not seeing that. So, but I think it's really important that if we can have your support calling out on ASEAN to do what they need to do in order to address this Myanmar crisis, because after all, Myanmar crisis is a litmus test for the ASEAN, for all of us, for the well-being of our ASEAN people as well. And I think that is something that we will also like to seek your support in amplifying our voices to ASEAN and to your government's leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ohmar, for the painful but very complete presentation. I don't think we will have much time, but I will give the floor to Shalmali. I mean, she will need 5 minutes to summarize the points that we have from 6 speakers. Shalmali, please.
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, hear you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, thank you very much to all the speakers. All the presentations were excellent and very complimentary and very powerful, and a very good start for our plenary and the future.
The voice is gone. Yeah, okay. All right.
Oh, now is it better now?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying thank you to all the speakers for the excellent presentations, and they're all very complimentary to each other and really show the linkages of our theme today of the beyond boundaries and the corporations and state versus people and environment. So I cannot summarize everything comprehensively, but let me just pull out, I just will share what I found in common across all the presentations. All our speakers showed us the intersections and interconnectedness among many issues, which include, for example, the environmental destruction, the ecosystem conversions and undermining and deterioration and the loss of biodiversity, and with the investment projects, land grabbing, and how these are leading to the loss of local livelihood opportunities, how they are creating poverty, and how they are decreasing access of local communities to food, to income, to healthcare, to education for the generation of children, to social protection for the elderly and for the whole community. Then our speakers have also linked all these issues with the violation of civil and political rights and all community rights. So we're not only talking about individual rights, we're also talking about collective rights, and we're talking about the rights of people to justice, to dignity, to be free of torture, to be free of violence, and emphasizing here also, of course, the attacks on environmental rights defenders and land rights defenders, and the criminalization, persecution, violence, killing by military dictatorships, by corporations that are colluding with the military and with governments. And of course, what is happening in the case of war. The very obvious case of war is the case of course, Myanmar. But we have also seen what has happened in this kind of very extreme violent conflictual situations in Laos and in Cambodia and in the Philippines, where governments have literally waged war against their own people, particular people, for example, and which is also, of course, happened in the past in the case of Myanmar. So, for example, attacks against indigenous peoples, attacks against Rohingya, attacks against different ethnic groups and ethnic minorities, as we have seen in Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam as well, and in other countries. We have also seen the impacts of this trend on pushing people out of their areas. through forced evictions, forced relocations, distress migration, asylum seeking, and also refugee seeking. And then, as was pointed out by many people and emphasized so much by Rangsiman Rome, is the disenfranchisement of people by ruling political establishment. This is especially we're seeing of younger generations who are the future of the country, and of indigenous peoples, especially women, as was pointed out from our friend from LILAK. And then our Somchai and Tai Yai pointed out what is happening with rural communities and those who produce food and look after our nature and environment, and also the workers who hold up our economy. It's without workers in the manufacturing, construction, and agriculture and all other fields, there would be no ASEAN economy. But it is these workers, it is these small-scale producers, it's these fishers whose rights are most violated and who are asked to bear the burden of all the impacts of climate change and civil political rights violations. And of course, these all those who organize against these regimes are targeted both individually and collectively. And those who stand up for protecting the environments, like we have heard from all our speakers and emphasized, especially by friends from Cambodia, are then also targeted as dissidents and those who are anti-development and against, against the countries moving forward. Now, just a quick last 1 minute is ways forward, suggestions that were made by our speakers. One is the huge importance, very important, big importance of building participatory democracy from the ground up, which is mobilizing people at the grassroots and at the front lines of all trends to claim and to assert their voice and use it for progressive change. So democracy is not, can never be, and should not be an elite enterprise that is put in the hands of those who sit in the capital and just go to cast their vote. It must be a force for political change, real change, structural change, and systemic social progress, which can only come through participatory democracy. And then solidarity across countries, across sectors, and across different constituencies to support each other in the times of crisis, whether it's economic, environmental, social, pandemic, in the case of war, in the case of conflict, protection of workers' rights, migrants' rights, indigenous peoples, peasants' rights, the fisher people's rights, LGBTQ rights, gender rights, basically the rights of people, both using existing laws and pushing for new ones wherever we can, and then mobilizing communities to build protections for environment, ecosystems, and social society dignity and harmony through people-to-people support. And by building this sort of grassroots solidarity, this is where it's people and environment come together to challenge the collusion of states and corporations. And of course, the very important, big importance of people-to-people solidarity in bringing about peace and justice and being able to stop the continuing destruction of people in the Mekong and ASEAN regions. The most obvious situation and the most dire and crisis situation we have now is in Myanmar. But let's be reminded that this can also spill over to other countries. And two challenges that we have to continue to confront. One is the apathy and the ineffectiveness and lack of political will of governments in the ASEAN to take real action towards peace and to the protection of human rights, democracy, and environmental protection. And also, of course, we need to challenge this to and emphasize the protection against genocide, against crimes against humanity, and against the rights on all human rights defenders, collective and individual. And the other challenge that we have to continue to confront and organize against is the power of corporations. How can we discipline corporations? How can we dismantle their power? And how can we especially break down the collusion between corporations and states so that people, communities, society, and the environments are the winners and not corporations and abusive states. So that's my all the summary I can manage in these few minutes.
Thanks, Chow.
It
is an excellent summary. Thank you so much. And we are very sorry because our next program, it is another place in less than an hour. So people will need to travel. So we need to, finish our first panel here. And I do hope that we can all having opportunity to talk or to listen to our important speaker for today again in some places, or some chances. But for now, let me thanks again to the co-organizer of this panel, especially focused on the Global South, HRDF, the Human Rights Development Foundation, who brought the people to speak and explain to us what's happening in this region. And we'll see you again very soon online, for the one who watching online. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.